Hey guys, my name is Ethan, this is Cobra, and welcome to the series where I teach you how to build a game in Python. Today, this is the episode you've probably all been waiting for. It is the episode where we finally draw our first sprite in our game. We're going to be drawing the apple and we're also going to be moving it around. In terms of moving the apple, we're only going to need to teleport it around, so it's going to be quite simple, but I'm going to be showing you how to do it in two different ways. So the first, I'm going to be showing you how to do it on a key press. Obviously, when that's not going to be a thing in the main game, but just as a demonstration. And then also I'm going to be moving it in a timed interval as well. Again, we're not going to be using it, but I thought I'd put in a little bit extra for you. Of course, if you find the video helpful at any point, then consider liking it to let me know and subscribe so don't miss out on future videos in the series. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into it. And we are back into our IDE, ready to create our first sprite. So we're going to be using the apple asset in this. So it's just here, this tiny little thing here. It's 16 by 16 for those of you interested in the size. I forgot to mention last video we used this picture for the menu, for those of you keeping up with that. But we're going to be starting actually in the sprites because we're going to create the sprite first. We don't want to do an all kind of list for wildcard imports because we do actually want to be able to import the base class to work with. But we do need to import a few things. So we need to import random, and this will help us with placing the actual apple. And we also want to import Sneck in here as well. I don't know why I made that double space. That doesn't need to be. So there is something I noticed while continuing planning the series that I actually forgot to put in the sprite base class that for some reason wasn't an issue in planning, but has become an issue since. So I don't really know what it is, but we actually need to create a function to move stuff around, or I suppose kind of like update in a way. So we're going to have move self and then x equals none and then y equals none because we want to be able to update just one if we need to. So the first thing we need to check is if x is none and y is none, then return. So we can't do truthy checks here because of course we might want to move something to an x coordinate or a y coordinate of 0, and a truthy check would actually fail. It would return false when we actually kind of want it to return true. So we need to specifically check if x and y is none, which makes the next bit a bit weird, but it's fine. So we can do self.rect.update, and this just updates the rect in place. We have x if x is not none, else self.x, and then y if y is not none, else self.y, self.w, and then self.h because we need to pass in 4 parameters. So the first is the x position. We take the new position if a new position's been provided, otherwise we just keep it where it is. And then the same with the y. Self.w is just saying the width of the rectangle is staying the same, and the same thing with the height, because you do actually have to provide 4 parameters to the update. This is actually new in 2.0.1, so if you're using 2.0.0, you will need to update to be able to use it. But now we can actually create our apple sprite, and there isn't a huge amount to it. I'm going to call it apple sprite. It's not called that in the plan, but I feel as though, with the menu scene being menu scene specifically, I'm going to keep it all as consistent as possible. We don't actually need to create any new slots, so we don't need to bother, although actually, no. I'm going to play it safe and have this. Again, it's the same recording session, so I don't know if you have to do that or not, but we're just leaving it in. So we can do def init self and then surface because you actually need to pass in the surface object. And the first thing we do is you actually get the width of the surface and then the height of the surface. Why have I done just that? I'm getting ahead of myself in my head. And then we can just probably copy paste it. Maybe it would be slightly easier. I don't know. Or maybe slightly quicker, I meant. Probably wasn't, but here you go. You live and learn. So now we do a super.init. So then we pass, the surface in, but now we actually need to set the position of the apple itself, and we're going to be doing that randomly. Now there is a particular region of the screen that we want to limit the apple to. I will explain why that is. It's because I didn't plan this in the streams, I've planned it since, but we have this board, and this green bit is supposed to be grass. I know it doesn't look amazingly convincing, but I'm not an artist, it's the best I can do. So this is the actual playable board that we're going to be actually in. This top bar here is going to be where the UI goes. So we only want the apple to appear on this board, or anywhere on this board. We don't want it to appear outside. So it's not anywhere on the screen, it's anywhere within this board. However, we also only want it to appear well, specifically, I guess, every width of the apple over, so it's going to sort of be tiled. In our case, it's 16 by 16, so we only want it to appear in intervals of 16 across and intervals of 16 down, so it doesn't appear, quote, off grid. So we need to factor both of those in when we're selecting a position, and thankfully this system that I'm about to show you works perfectly for that. So we can do random.rand int. My voice has been going a lot today, I have no idea why. And we set the initial position as W, which in this case is 16, because the board starts 16 in and it ends 16 over here, which works. And then we have snec.window width, take W times 2, and then we go over 2, and then we do divided by W times W. Now, it all looks very complicated. It is a little bit custom. You may need to update this based on your game if you're doing things slightly differently. But essentially, it's going to put it somewhere along the x-axis between the width of the apple and the width of the app and the width of the screen minus twice the width of the apple. The reason it's twice is because it's spawning from the top left corner. So if we want it to spawn over this side, I'm pointing at the screen, I don't know why. If we want it to spawn over this side, then we need to spawn here, not here, because then it will spawn across like that. So it's minus W, but we want it to spawn here, minus W times 2. This whole like multiplying it and then dividing it again, or rather dividing it and then multiplying it, basically locks it to a grid of 16. It just kind of works. And the main difference with the height is that it's actually hard locked in my case to 82. So I've worked out, to get the optimal kind of board size where everything kind of looks nice. This top edge of the board is 82 pixels down, so you'll need to work that out in your own game. Then you have window height, and then h divided by 2, and then divided by h, and then times by h. So you need to make sure that you change all that stuff. So that will spawn the position, that will spawn the apple in the position we want. However, we want the ability to move it as well. And this is where we have our teleport, custom method that's only available to the apple sprite. And we will do self.move. And I couldn't think of a better way to do this. So we're just going to have to rely on mostly code duplication, but not quite. Because the difference with this is that we're going to need, self.w. We're going to need to access the actual class attributes. I couldn't think of a better way to do this without kind of initializing it at 0 and then moving it again, which I didn't really want to do. I don't know if that was the better way of doing it, but if you think it is the better way of doing it, then feel free to do it that way. But that should work as is. So that's all the work we need to do on the actual sprite. I'm going to go to the client again. Because we need to make a minor modification of this. We actually just want to set, while we're testing this, we just want to set this to the main scene straight up. This is what we're going to be calling our scene when the snake is actually moving across the board. So we don't want to go through the menu every single time when we're testing. So we're just going to have it like that. And then we're going to go into our scenes and create the new scene. So first of all, we need to actually remember to import it up here. So I'm going to put main scene up there before I forget, because I did in planning and that was very annoying. But this main scene itself is going to be very complicated. This is where most of our code is going to go eventually. The actual implementation in this video is not particularly large, which is nice. But we're going to be adding to this scene pretty much every video from now, so you'll get well acquainted to it. So again, with the slots, we need to do, scene.slots, and then we need to add our own stuff in. So this isn't all the slots we're going to need, but this is all the slots we're going to need, at least for now. So we're going to have a background, an apple. I think those are the only two we're going to need. No, we're just going to need the apple. I'm not going to put the background in this video. Well, I might do. We'll leave it in. We'll see if I put it in the end. Okay, so I've looked at the plan real quick, and I've decided that I'm actually going to put the background in this video. I wasn't originally going to, but I think it would be kind of easier to explain and work with. So we're going to have the client, and then we're going to have the self.background equals be snack.sprites pg.image. Did I import it as PG? I did. Nice. Oh, can I have a bit more room, please? Thank you. pg.image.load, and this is assets backgrounds slash board.png, because we're mixing up file extensions. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that normally, but here we are. And then we're just going to do the converts, again, and then we're going to have 0, 0 to put it in the top. And then we're going to have, well, I suppose you could have like a background that inherits from sprite that just puts it at 0, 0, but I'm not going to bother doing that. You can do it if you want. Especially if you're going to have moving backgrounds, you might want to, do something fancy with that. So Apple is going to be our Apple sprite, and it's going to be pg.image.load and /asset/sprite/apple. I think it's PNG. It is. And then for this one, we need to convert alpha, and then we don't need to pass the position in because the Apple sprite handles that one on its own. So now we need to do, some housework on the actual scene itself. So for event, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Events, if event.type w equals key, pg.keydown, and this is just like a temporary measure. We're going to be removing all of this, but I just want to kind of show you the teleporting nature, and I'm also going to show you like a timed event as well. So that should be cool. And we're going to do self.apple.teleport. And then again, events.remove event. Just event, please. I just want the one. And then we're going to return events out of that. Like that. And then we're going to have our def update, which for now we're going to pass, but we will be coming back to this. And then we're going to have our def draw, and then self.window.blit, self.apple. And now that should be fine. There's all my Git stuff. There we go. So there's our apple. It is spawned in a random place on the board. The background hasn't because I haven't actually told it to. But if we start mashing keys, we can see the apple goes around everywhere. And you can see it's kind of limited to a very specific region of the screen. It's not really kind of going... Actually, I think it is going up there, actually. I can't tell. Is it going too far? Guess there's only one way to find out. We need to actually, draw the background. And yes, I promise I am fully aware this is not the best background in the world, but I'm only limited in certain ways. I might actually update the apple because it is a bit hard to see. But it's moving around, and I don't think it's going up into the UI. I can't see it going up to the UI, so I think it'll be fine. But yeah, that is our apple kind of moving around there. I'm going to get rid of the background. I will make that a bit clearer, and then I'll update the repo again. What I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to do the timed events. So I'm going to do self.timer plus equals delta. So this is just kind of a timer for our game. So this will be useful in the FPS calculations, but it's also useful for timed events as well. So you can't get precise accuracy. So you can't say if you wanted the thing to move every second, then you could do timer modulo 1 w equals 0. You can't do that because it never actually hits 0. So what I found works pretty okay is 0.002. But depending on the amount of frames per second you get, you might have to adjust that. And then we're going to teleport the apple after a certain amount of time. As you can see, it is moving all by itself. I am not on the keyboard. You can see, not on the keyboard. It is moving itself around the screen, and it's doing all its fancy business. So yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or you can join the Discord server using the link in the description. In the meantime, I'd like to thank my amazing patrons on screen now. £1 a month, you can be on that screen too. And I will see you next time where we actually start creating the snake. So we're going to create the snake object, and we're actually going to be getting it to move around. So that's pretty cool. So I'll see you for that.